Folks, we are so back here on College Sports Now. Midweek edition of the show in your feeds, in your ears. Thank you for joining us. Death, taxes, and heading west to talk to Wayne Cook. Those are three things in life that you can count on. We're so glad to be back. It's good to see Wayne's face. This guy's been playing a lot of golf this summer. Still doesn't have a handicap. Still is somehow dodging the Gin app. I mean, in 2025, Wayne, we got to get you on the books, man. You need to keep track of your scores. It's a travesty what you're doing to the golfing community out there.
Well, what a great way to start. First of all, it's football season, but yeah, I've been playing a lot of golf. In my golf league for 9 holes, I'm at a 3, which was like a 6, right? So, golf leagues are weird because I play better when I don't play in the golf league because it's 9 holes of excruciatingly slow golf.
Sure.
With about half the league being really bad players, and you have to wait for them. So, it's just, So I can shoot a 36 one day, but I could shoot a 42 too, and it's like sometimes it's just. Well,
the beauty of the Gin app, Wayne, and I'm not going to bat here for the USGA, but I'm just saying, the golfing community, we got to look out for each other. The game is growing at a rapid rate, much to the chagrin of folks like me who have to slum it on public courses and deal with the stoolies out there, these jamokes just clogging up the course. But just $40 a year, man. Just track your scores. So that's all I'm asking for.
We'll end the golf talk with this. This is fun stuff. I think about it every year. But you know that I get mad because I beat people all the time and I still lose. Handicaps to me are the most unathletic thing ever. If I am better than you, Stephen Hartzell, and you claim to beat me after I just whooped your ass by 3 strokes, and I'm like, I win. You're like, no, you don't, because when we adjust it with my handicap, I beat you. I hate that. That is the most non-sports thing. I get it. It levels the playing field. Screw leveling the playing field. If I'm better than you, I'm better than you. I hate it.
Let's save that clip for when you talk about the plight of the little guys in college football and how, hey, what about little old Marshall out here in the Sun Belt?
No, it's not about the plight of the little guy. It's about propaganda. And we'll get to it later.
Well, let's set the table here. It's been a while since we've all been together, and we're talking college football.
By the way, Hartzell's a single handicap. He wanted to bring that up at some point in time. He's been texting me all summer.
I have whittled it down to a 7.7. But look, in the interest of full transparency, other folks who listen to the show who have the Gin app can look me up. First name Steven, last name Hartzell, state of North Carolina. You can see all my scores. Hashtag transparency. In this day and age, we're just here for transparency, arming ourselves with as much information as possible.
240 off the tee is a lot easier to keep in the fairway. That's good.
I mean, 240 on a good day. That's with roll. That's when the fairways are baked out and dry. Are you kidding me? So we'll set the golf talk aside. Here's what's coming up. Week 0. Actual college football games are coming next weekend. So if you've got things that you need to do around the house, if there's a honey-do list, I suggest you look into it. Get it done so that you can watch these games. They're not great, but there are 5 games on the docket. Iowa State, Kansas State, and Dublin will be a lot of fun. The Big 12 is going to be fascinating. We will talk about that. I gave Wayne homework. Phil Steele, by the way, I've got the magazine here. I know Wayne's got his. If you still have, there you go. Do you have the West Coast cover? No, you got the national cover. Tough scene.
Barnes & Noble was like, I had to go in there 3 times. They go. Now, if you're like me, you get a case delivered to the office, but Wayne's out west, Gavin Newsom, it's tough out there. It's tough to get paper products delivered. Here's the thing. Phil Steele is going to be back with us, but not this week. We will bring him back next week. We'll run through some week 0 games. Wayne will talk to him all about, hey, how my Bruins looking? Are we the dark horse in the Big Ten? Blah, blah, blah. We'll get to all of that stuff with Phil next week. But if you don't have your magazine, go to Barnes & Noble, go to philsteele.com, get you one. It's a tremendous companion for the college football season. Okay, all that being said, I gave Wayne homework. I could have said, Wayne, give me your top 10 storylines, but we'd be here for 3 hours, and we would get nothing done. So I told Wayne to come up with 5. Of course, he came up with 6 because he's an overachiever. But in the spirit and the interest, Wayne, of talking actual college football, not NIL, not the portal, not house settlement, not college football expansion, not what's going on in the courts.
or these days the government.
Those are some of my topics. Don't cut me off here.
Well, I want to talk actual football. So I gave Wayne, hey, top 5 storylines, bring them to the table so we can discuss them as Wayne slurps probably his 4th or 5th coffee of the day for those of you watching on YouTube. Yes, we are on YouTube. Search Varsity Network on YouTube. We appreciate everybody listening, but if you want to see what these mugs look like in full high definition, you can go to YouTube and just search Varsity Network. That's where all of our stuff propagates. Okay, that being said, Wayne, let's talk ball, baby. I know you showed me a picture of your notes. You've been scribbling all summer. So what are you most looking forward to before toe meets leather here next weekend?
Well, you mentioned all the stuff that gets us distracted in the talking season, right? Like all the other things that are going on.
By the way, real quick, you were a part of talking season this year. I saw you at Media Days. You were at Big Ten Media Days. You were out there just on the couch, just interviewing people. You love to see it.
Yeah. So Nick Cope and I went and took the trip. For me, it's a pretty easy drive. I woke up early, drove to Vegas, and then worked all day and then drove home. But, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to get out there. It's fun to hear everybody talk. And let's be honest, most of the coaches say the same things. But one of the things that I thought was, and I like to compare things to politics a lot, was the playoff talk. Didn't that seem like it was the biggest part of – because most coaches are going to say they're happy with their team. Most coaches are going to say the camaraderie, the culture. They're going to say all the things you want to hear. You listen to, Minnesota's coach talk, and you think they're going to win the national championship this year.
Yeah, PJ Fleck, he's rowing the boat.
He just like he's literally like. But if you listen to Luke Fickell, they're gonna turn it around. If you listen to, but what's fun is you get the real talk from people like Kirby, people that it's funny too how we live in a world where we put Nick Saban, now Kirby Smart, up on this pedestal, but when they go away from the narrative that we want, we all of a sudden act like they don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes I think it's interesting because anything that's anti-players getting whatever they want, there are a group of people out there that really get upset about that. And I will tell you this, I've already been to 5 or 6 practices for the team that I cover. I will tell you this. When you talk to coaches, first of all, coaches are excited. Most good coaches have adjusted to the new system. Most coaches will tell you that they have zero problem with the schools paying the athletes. But there are some issues that'll trickle up, like how much money is going to freshmen that haven't played a down of college football yet? How about players that are deciding that, I'm getting paid, I don't really want to go to that meeting, or I don't think I should be practicing as much as I'm practicing, or I actually think I deserve more money because someone else just got more money. Like, there's a lot of things that I think over the next few years are probably going to have to change because that's a problem.
Sure.
You have an offensive lineman that's like, you guys, I've heard so many stories this offseason about people that have showed up and are getting paid good money, and this isn't just UCLA, this is all the people that I've talked to. They're not watching film. They're not putting – everybody wants I'll go to Kirby Smart. Everybody wants the intrinsic, or Nick Saban said this, the intrinsically motivated athlete. The one that shows up and is going to bust their butt no matter what. When people are motivated by money and other things and how much TV time they get and how many NIL deals they get, you're probably not going to get the best out of that football player. When you get football players that want to play football and be great and that other stuff is like a byproduct, you get what I'm saying? Like I always tell my students this. When the grade is your number one goal, fine, you might get an A. Like in my class, if you do all the work and you listen to me do the review and you study, you're going to get a good grade. But are you really going to understand U.S. history? Probably not, because you're working for the grade. When you're working to be great at something, the grade becomes a byproduct of your work, just like the money does in sports. If you're working to be great, your chances of being great are a lot better than if you're just working for your next paycheck. So, to me, it's crazy. We do have to talk about this stuff. But either way, at the end of the day, when you go to a practice, you know what it looks like? It looks like football, right? There's competition. There's people trying to get better. There's coaches yelling at guys and motivating guys. And so, to me, man, last year was fun, right? We had a 12-team playoff. We had a couple of teams involved that guys like you probably were mad that Arizona State and some of these teams got in there, but I thought the 12-team playoff – no, I thought the 12-team playoff was a total success, and they fixed the problem. They fixed the problem with it by now we're just going to go to straight seeding instead of screwing a team like Oregon and having their first game in the playoff be to Ohio State.
Yes. So for those, this is unfortunately part of us reconvening before the start of the season. Like for folks who aren't glued into the college football news cycle around the, 12 months a year, the college football playoff has been tweaked. As Wayne mentioned, there are still 12 teams, but instead of us seeding 1 through 4 based on highest ranked conference champs, which is what we did last year, that's how Boise State got a bye because the Mountain West champ was ranked higher than Arizona State from the Big 12. We're now just going straight seeding, 1 through 12. So there can be multiple teams from the same conference in the top 4. Doesn't matter anymore. Straight seeding, which I think is a good thing. I still think at some point we need to commit to this, Wayne. Like, don't expand this thing to 16. Let's let this thing fully bake before we tweak it again. But that is significant because, yes, it will avoid potential scenarios and matchups like we had last year where teams that weren't one of the top 4 teams in college football either earned a bye or got a favorable draw. Right. That's the idea. Yes.
So I like that, but we all know that we're talking about going to 16, and I think and supposedly from what I understand, the SEC and the Big Ten are driving the ship, but yet they have, this is the political part, they have totally different viewpoints on this.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah. We're fighting over here. We're just back rooms, smoke-filled rooms, guys smoking cigars. They can't agree on the future of the sport. It's tough.
But we do have to talk about it because the idea is that the reason why I like the change in the 12-team playoff I'm fine with. I like the idea of 16, and this is where people get crazy. All the people out there would eliminate, the importance of the regular season, all that stuff, and I can't wrap my brain around how you think that. When there's so many more fan bases, and I get it if you're an Ohio State fan, an Alabama fan, a Georgia fan, if you're one of the teams that's always there, you probably are like, whatever, because we're always in it. But now you're going to add so many more fan bases, so many more November games that matters. I mean, we were going into like the top 20 teams that had a chance late last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is what makes college football better. Now, here's my problem, and you know me, Steven. I want Ohio State, Texas. I want it. But if you really think about the way things are scheduled right now, why play that game? We've learned that win-loss record is what matters the most. Being 10-2, even though there's a team that 8-4 that would be favored in Vegas against you because they played a much tougher schedule in a better conference, depending on the year, by the way, because we should have learned that conferences tend to change, right? The SEC was dominating. The last couple of years, the Big Ten has won. A couple of years before that, the Pac-12 was really freaking good, and it was murdered by the college football world, and that's going to come up later because.
And your alma mater, Wayne. I mean, let's just.
But my alma mater, because it's a great institution, ended up in one of those 2 power conferences.
Decided to save itself. Yes.
And the narrative is so stupid. All the people out there, the narrative is dumb. UCLA last year was one of the 4 winningest teams in the Big Ten. When you add up all of their sports, UCLA was right there with Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan. Those were the top 4 schools. No, not SC. UCLA was one of the top 4 schools.
How do you get that shot in? How do you get that shot in? Softball, crosstown rival. Very good.
Softball World Series, baseball World Series, the only school that did that. So everybody can go fly a kite that has their narrative. And by the way, UCLA picked up the number 1 recruit on the transfer portal in football and in basketball. So whatever. I'm not going to do that. You already told me I'm not allowed to. But you poked me. Either way, football's got to get better. Okay, I get that. But we'll get to that later. Anyway, back to the playoffs. The reason why I bring up Ohio State and Texas, and I want you to put on your thinking cap. This is a non-conference game that I think is actually safer for one of those 2 teams than the other. As far as their end-of-the-season playoff opportunities.
Oh, you think it's safer for Texas?
I do, yeah.
Because of the schedule?
Because they play 8 conference games.
They do play just 8 conference games, correct?
So you're more like, and most of the time, even though if you watch the SEC talk about it, they turned Vanderbilt because the propaganda coming out of the SEC is so amazing. And by the way, I'm not putting them down. I just said amazing. They pushed their product so good that a 6-6, right? I think they ended up 7-6 with the bowl win, right? What is bowl?
Talking about
bowl
my
games?
Vanderbilt Commodores, I'm
talking.
claiming
They were 6-6, right?
My Doors, yes, correct.
Yeah, we made it out. The whole country believed that Vanderbilt at 6-6 was the most amazing 6-6 team that has ever existed. Diego Pavia, I heard his name all year last year. Fine, he's a good player. He was literally Joe Burrow last year. He was Baker Mayfield last year.
I'm not comfortable with those comparisons.
He was Johnny Manziel last year, right? No, we put him as Diego Pavia. I heard his name over and over and over again. This team is amazing, but they were 6-6, 6-6, and every single coach at Pac-12. Gosh, I gotta stop doing that. At SEC Media Days, you were there. Our 8-game schedule is 1,000 times better than everybody else's schedule. And I'm going to tell you something. I looked at it. If you look at the last 10 years, the same teams, it's Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, over and over and over again. You'll throw in an LSU here. You throw in an Auburn here. But for the most part, and all the Tennessee crap, Tennessee hadn't won a championship since 1998. Oh, but you've been. Oh, but the Big Ten's top heavy. It is. So is the SEC. So are most of the conferences. It is. Now the top's got a little deeper because you threw in Texas. By the way, the SEC's so good that a Big 12 team that hadn't won jack squat, they won one championship in the Big 12 in like a long time. If you look at Texas won right before they left, correct? Before that, Oklahoma was the dominant team.
Yeah.
Texas walks into the SEC and wins the first year. So, I don't know. Anyway, going back to what I'm saying, the 8 versus 9 matters, and that's one of the biggest parts of this whole debate, the 5-11, the 4 plus 4 plus whatever, auto bids versus all committee. It's a huge deal because most SEC teams, I forget who it is, Missouri, they have 4 road games. That's it. They play 8 conference games. The chances of Missouri, if they're decent this year, with the schedule they have, being a playoff team, they got a shot. They got a really good shot.
ACC and SEC still play 8 conference games.
Still play 8.
Big 10, Big 12 play 9.
And again, I know that people don't want to hear this, but I think what's happening is Petiti, who all the Big Ten, I'm telling you, every Big Ten coach I saw, every Big Ten coach I talked to, I know they have to say it, and the SEC does the same thing with Sankey, but Petiti's a real deal. And these two guys, you have Petiti and you have Sankey, who I like both of them. You and I have talked to Sankey together. It's hard not to like him. It is. But the advantage in a playoff system where a committee, and this is very on what I've been saying forever, it favors them big time. It favors them because of the propaganda that comes out of ESPN, because the Paul Feinbaum show, because all of the content. And by the way, this is not a knock on the SEC. It's brilliant. Other conferences should do more of this. They have pushed that conference so much that what has Mississippi won? What has Ole Miss won? I know Lane Kiffin's fun and everything, but what have they won?
Nothing.
They had Jackson Dart last year. They were really good. They haven't won much.
Yeah, I mean, look, Wayne, I hear you. I hear you, but the 9-3 SEC teams got left out last year. Alabama and Ole Miss did not get the benefit of the doubt. South Carolina did not get the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, it didn't happen last year, and that's why the SEC has been carrying around all of those strength of schedule documents, the PowerPoint slides, the presentations.
But the strength of schedule, and again, I'm not to interrupt, but the strength of schedule, what's crazy about it is, again, it's people deciding which games are tougher. So if there's a bias towards the SEC's just better, and again, for everybody out there, look at the NFL numbers. Trust me, I'm not saying that the SEC is not great, nor am I saying that they don't put out a ton of players. I'm not saying that at all. And even to be honest with you, though, a lot of those players are coming from the same schools. Like you have a ton of them coming from certain schools, like every year, the ones that get all the 5 stars. But the idea is that if you really want to have a season where you're going to have competitive games all the way through, where you're not going to have people in a room deciding who makes the playoffs, the auto bids make way more sense. If you get third place in the Big Ten, you're in. If you get third place in the SEC, you're in. Or in the 4+4+, fourth place, you're in. You earned that. You played your butt off your non-conference schedule, which could be as tough as you want it to be. You can play the best games you want to play. You can see an SEC team play a Big Ten team in the non-conference schedule and not freak out if you lose or not. And again, I hear you already. Well, that makes that game less important. Do you know anything about athletes? Do you think the athletes are going to walk into the Ohio State-Texas game and be like, yeah, we don't care about this game because it doesn't really impact us because we still just have – no, they play their butts off and they want to win. But if they do lose by a field goal, there's still everything in front of them. We're the only sport that eliminates people after week 1 or week 2. Especially when the playoffs was even smaller, right? Right back in the BCS where we had like 2 teams at the end. Like we would eliminate people first, second week. Oh, they can't make it now. The whole conference is doomed because they lost. This just, to me, it makes it so much more exciting. Can I throw in? I know I'm rambling as I always do, but can I throw in a little fun little idea? They're talking about the 4+4, and this is where I remember my Pac-12. And I'm still bummed that it's gone.
What do you mean? It's coming back next year.
Well,
what do you mean?
I know
it's gone.
I know it is. It's going to be different.
The brand will live on, Wayne.
And I love college football, so I'm going to root for those schools to do well. But why can't they compromise? And this is going to sound weird, but why not do 3+3+3+3, and then have four bids that the committee decides?
Well, because
why not have all 4 Power 4 conferences get 3 and on? No, because I want you to just let me finish before you react. It doesn't. Well, who decides they're not equal? People do, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, people
the conference commissioners from the quote unquote more powerful leagues.
And to be honest with you, I would agree that the top of those conferences, although Clemson might have something to say about that this year, okay. But the idea is we've always just told people this conference is better than this conference. That's what happened to the Pac-12. You're not any good anymore. And if you watched the last couple of years of the Pac-12, or if you know anything about the history of it, it just a lot of that stuff wasn't true. It was just told to people, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Pac-12 sucks." You think that Washington team sucked? You think some of those? It bothers me. Oregon moved from the Pac-12, and what they do their first year in existence, like Texas, they won the Big Ten. And well, this kind of stuff drives me crazy. So my whole thought is, if you really think about this, if you're the SEC and you went 3+3+3+3, they could still get, because Notre Dame's not guaranteed a spot. You don't have to do that. You make a rule where the other conferences only get a player in if they're in the top 16, like rankings. You could get 4 teams from one conference in the bids afterwards. You could get 3 more teams, so you could end up with your 3 plus 3 more. If the SEC's dominant that year, you could end up with 5 or 6 teams in the playoffs anyway. But that way, at least it starts fair. We're all 4 power conferences. Otherwise, let's stop lying, and let's just say we have 2 power conferences and just eliminate those other, because that's where we're going.
Maybe.
It feels like that's where we're going. And to me, there's a lot of good schools. I mean, the Big 12 might be the most fun conference this year, as it is a lot, because there's so much parity. Okay? The ACC, I have a feeling there's a couple teams at the top, and maybe not quite as much parity, but like the idea is that who knows what North Carolina's going to be this year? Who knows what Georgia Tech's going to be this year?
Good. Georgia Tech's going to be good.
A lot of people think they're going to be good, but they're Georgia Tech, right? Is good 8-4?
You see what I take 8-4, but I think 9-3 is on the table, Wayno.
It is on the table, which according to the 4-4-2, blah, 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 blah. 9-3 probably doesn't get Georgia Tech in. You're going to take a 9-3 SEC team or a 9-3 Big Ten team over that.
Well, these are all, now just to clarify again, because like somebody's listening to this and they're not locked into like what Ross Dellinger writes about in the off season with, perspective. You laugh because Wayne, you're the one that gobbles that stuff up. The playoff format for this year is set. The playoff format for the 2026 season is what Wayne is referencing. There are multiple different scenarios because to his original point, the SEC and the Big Ten, they don't agree. Those two conferences, those commissioners do not agree on what the future of the playoff is going to look like beyond the 2025 season. So that is what is still up for debate. We'll see. I mean, knowing college football, Wayne, they'll decide this in 3 weeks. When Labor Day weekend, when there's like actual college football games, that's when they'll decide what the future. Because this sport can't get out of its way sometimes. We've got issues.
I think we might go. We can put a stamp on it here, but I think we might end up going more years at 12. This season is going to be really good. I like the adjustments they made to the playoff. Last year was
plenty, isn't it? Last year was plenty.
Last year was really fun. I do like the idea of more teams having an opportunity, and I know that you and I have talked about this for years. You like the elites. I loved the Arizona State story last year. I loved, and then listen, you guys remember this. For everybody saying, if you watched Texas-Arizona State last year, tell me that wasn't a great football game.
It was awesome.
Arizona State had him. They absolutely had him. And Quinn Ewers, who by the way, we'll talk about this a little bit later too, who I talk to Texas fans and they hate the guy. I'm like, have you looked at the record over the last 20 years? The last 2 years with Quinn Ewers have been your best. And they're like, nope, Arch, he sucks. Quinn Ewers is terrible. I'm like, oh my gosh, fan bases can be insane sometimes. But either way, it was fun. Yeah, there were a few duds, but there's always duds. How often with a 14 playoff have our semifinals games been? Not that good.
Look, I love the on-campus stuff. It's not going to go anywhere. For me, the amount of inventory going from 3 playoff games to 11, those back-to-back weekends of 4 games, that's a lot of college football, man. Texas played 16 football games. It would have been 17 if they had beaten Ohio State. I'm just saying, Wayne, that's a long-ass season. Like, if you're a coach, you've got to plan differently. You got to
tell high school coaches to stop pushing these kids year-round for everything they do constantly. It's like, come on.
Hang on.
You play once a week in football.
I understand, but the season is a lot longer than the old days, Wayne, which you can relate to, back when y'all were playing with leather helmets, and it was 12 and we're done. Like, the sport ended on January 1st. That's all I'm saying. So when these guys are getting paid $750,000 to play a season, like, I'm not batting an eye here. I'm just telling you. Like, good for them. Get it while you can, man. It's a violent sport. Let's move on. What else you got in your storylines? Because we'll be here all day. I know you want to be here all day, but I don't pay you by the minute.
You know I want to talk QBs. So it's funny because, like, the hype this year is funny to me, and one of the things that I think comes up first quarterback you think of when you think about the 2025 college football season.
Unfortunately, it's Arch Manning.
Okay, so Arch Manning, if you watched him at his media day, he was like telling the media, tap the brakes. I've played 2 games against 2 schools that were not good. Really, I mean, I know he played in other games, don't get me wrong. But as a starter, the quarterback is telling you, I haven't done anything yet. One of the reasons why I am bullish on his possibility for being successful, not to mention he's playing in Sark's system,
sure,
which we have seen can be very, very good. Not to mention he's a superstar quarterback making big NIL money that decided to stay in a world where most quarterbacks want to. I mean, you'd be shocked talking to freshmen at all positions.
Arch doesn't need the money, okay? Like, I know the money's nice, but like, this dude's pretty well off. His last name's Manning.
Again.
I'm just saying.
Again. Depending on, and I'm real curious about this. just because you go home to a nice house, just because you go home to a family that has some stuff, not all, and I'm telling you, not all wealthy parents just give their kids millions of dollars. They literally set them up to go to school,
sure,
and earn it.
I understand.
And they make their own way. And I would argue that if I've listened to any of the Mannings talk over the years, nothing has been spoon-fed to this kid. He's had to. It just fits the way the Mannings, like, you don't have that much success from so many people. Because let's go back to the whole intrinsic motivation thing. Me watching film of Peyton Manning going to Cutcliffe in his 18th year in the NFL and working on his 3-step drop and saying it doesn't quite feel right, I'm off on timing. That kind of stuff is the riches that are passed down through the Manning generations. Like, how do we work hard? How to create good habits? How do we do things right? So when people watch, and this is the silliness of college football. What do I say when I watch quarterbacks that, like, Serber gives me? What do I love? What do I love? I love feet.
You
like,
love
great
feet.
Footwork.
You and Rex
feet.
Ryan both.
Yeah.
You love feet.
I love footwork, really, with all athletes. When you watch the great ones do it right, it's footwork. So when you watch Arch Manning, you watch a quarterback that has been raised to be a quarterback. You watch a quarterback that has good footwork. He's got arm talent. But when you listen to the media, you know what they get the most excited about? Oh, he's more athletic than all the other Mannings. He can. And don't get me wrong, you have to be able to move. I get it. But when are we going to learn? The media, again, I talk about propaganda a lot. The media has convinced the world that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning could not play in the modern day the game. They're not athletic enough. I swear to you, if Tom Brady came out of college tomorrow, he would still get drafted in the 6th round. As a matter of fact, I think he'd go undrafted if nobody knew his name. They would do the same exact thing they did before. He's too slow. He can't move. Peyton Manning, if he didn't have the Manning name, too slow. Can't move. They have made it to where the Will Levises, who I've talked to many people about, and I've said on this show, I go, he'd make a great underwear model, but I don't like him as a quarterback. Because he's athletic, yeah, and he can throw the ball a long way, but so what? Listen, I didn't like all the stuff about Shadur Sanders because he was a 500 quarterback, but when you watch him play quarterback, you're like, he's got the natural throwing ability. He moves like a quarterback. He's got instincts. And then you watch him in the preseason game, and like people are like, wow. And then all people pointed out, I was like, I didn't know he was fast enough to scramble like that. Like, watch the throw of the crossing route where the guy had about this much room to be open in the end zone. That was a great NFL throw. So, yeah, I don't like a lot with Shadur and some of the I'm worried about if his head's right. But as a quarterback, does he have the strongest arm? Is he the fastest guy? No, but he's a quarterback. Remember how much I like Baker Mayfield?
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield has become a very good NFL quarterback. You know why? He can process defenses. He can throw the ball on time. It's not because he has the biggest arm or he's the tallest or he's the fastest. It's because he can play quarterback. I love Joe Burrow. Guy plays on a crappy team and has already been to a Super Bowl. I mean, this dude, like, led the league in, like, passing efficiency or whatever and doesn't even go to the playoffs. That's how good that guy is. He gets the ball out to the right people. He throws the ball the right way. Like, so the quarterback talk, I am bullish on Arch Manning. But we should tap the brakes a tad. We should remember that, I don't know what the exact number is. I screenshotted it, but Texas won 11, 12 games like the last 2 years with Quinn Ewers.
Mm-hmm.
And people act like he was horrible and they're like kicking him out the door. Like, go, bye, be gone. Okay? And so now they're ready for Arch. So, I don't know. I'm excited about him, but he still has to go through the growing pains of an entire season of playing quarterback. And I feel like the one person that knows that is him. You okay, Steven?
Look, I mean, there's
know.
just
You gotta get in shape
I
for
haven't
me.
done a show with you in a couple months, Wayne. I forgot what it's like to just sit here and just get blasted by the furnace, the broiler, okay, of takes.
That's
First
one quarterback.
First of all,
go.
If Arch's last name was Hartzell, there would be a very different narrative around this guy. Okay, genetics have a lot to do with it. The marketing, the propaganda, as you put it. Fine, he's not the best quarterback in the SEC. That's Garrett Nussmeier. Okay, now if you want to come at me with like the NFL projections.
No.
And like where these guys are going to go and what they're going to do on Sundays, that's a different show that, frankly, 2 weeks out from the start of the season, I don't want to have. But you've got guys like Garrett Nussmeier in this league who have done it. Arch, you got to go into the frying pan week one, man. You got to go to the horseshoe in front of 100,000 people and win a game. The Texas is a slight underdog in, but you want to talk about making your statement. Like, Arch is going to get chances. Texas has a tough schedule. Ohio State week one, they got to go to the Swamp in October. They got to go to Athens in November. They still got Texas A&M at the end of the year. Like, nothing's going to be handed to Texas. They've got a tough schedule. So we will see. Look, I thought I was at SEC Media Days. The Arch Madness thing was real. That kid has star power. Like, he is drawing a crowd. Like, literally, that
I watched the whole thing.
Doesn't normally happen at SEC Media Days. Like, there's stars everywhere. Like, you don't usually have all of these people at a podium to hear a kid talk who's had 2 career starts.
It happened at Big Ten Media Days, too, with a guy named Nico Iamaleava. Yeah.
Okay. There were like 4 guys there with like iPhones being like, hey, Nico, what do you got? What do you got, Nico?
He had a large group. I actually felt bad for the other UCLA players.
Well, that's good. Like, that's great. I mean, Nico's got a lot of talking. He's got a lot of explaining to do. We'll get to that.
Not really. And we can get to that later. But, like, in the world of I want you to really think about this. Did Bo Nix leave Auburn to go to Oregon?
Yes.
Did he make any money there?
Yes.
Yeah. Michael Penix, did he transfer at one point in time in his career?
Yes.
Yeah. Did Quinn Ewers transfer at one point in time in his career?
Also, yes.
Did Carson Beck transfer just last year and supposedly getting $4 million and wearing his gold chain around his neck, and whether or not he's with the basketball player girlfriend or not, I have no idea.
It's all about the you. That's right.
Why are we deciding that Nico's the poster? And I know the stories that came out. And by the way, remember, everybody out there, I'm going to give you a little bit. And by the way, this is not condescending because I was going to be a jerk just now. So the social media has become the most vile thing we have in our country. It is lies after lies after lies after lies after lies. You don't know what's true or false anymore. It's just absolutely insane. And if you don't realize yet that your algorithms are just feeding you hate and nonsense that you want to hear, then you need to read a book on this stuff, or like find a website that actually talks about it, but then you don't know if that's true either. We're being lied to so much right now, it's crazy. And believe it or not, the same thing happens in sports too.
Yes.
Like I said before, we've convinced an entire generation of people that a running quarterback, a quarterback that runs, an elite runner, doesn't even have to be a good thrower, an elite runner. Jalen Milroe is a perfect example for me. I was just listening to the radio this morning when I went out to get my Starbucks before the show, and they were talking about how much of an upside, I forget who the quarterback, Milroe has, because he's got a strong arm and how athletic he is. And I'm like, but if you're not an elite thrower, you're not going to make it. I mean, people don't want to hear this, but there's an elite runner that's more elite than any of the runners that we have out there, Lamar Jackson. He loses in the playoffs early every year. Every year. And if you really, really try to tell me, based on his stats, that he's an elite thrower, I'm not going to agree with you, because he's got a good arm. He flicks the ball, but he's not an elite thrower. Elite throwers are elite throwers. There's not that many of them out there, by the way. Patrick Mahomes is an elite thrower. Like Joe Burrow's an elite thrower. Like, there's dudes that are elite throwers. But the athleticism is amazing, but at some time you need to orchestrate a drive where you get the ball to the right people at the right time, where you can make that Joe Montana pass in the back of the end zone to Dwight Clark when you need it the most. The great ones can do that. So, again, by the way, I love watching Lamar Jackson play. Don't get me wrong. He's like one of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen. but I don't think he's an elite thrower, and I never will.
Right.
I don't care what his stats are. So now if you took his legs and put it on an elite thrower's body, you have the best mix ever. Those guys
You
don't
have
come
Josh
around very
Allen,
often.
is what you have. You
Well,
have Josh Allen in that
and
instance.
Josh Allen still could get better at the processing part of football. It's so funny. I was just talking to a coach that knows, and he was saying that when Josh Allen first got into the league, or even when he was in college, a lot of quarterbacks nowadays, and I've said this a lot on this show too, the coaches give them a read. Like it's going to be this guy or this guy. They're not even using the whole field. So when you get a guy like Josh Allen that comes into the NFL and you start developing that progression where I can get all the way to the backside and play the whole field, that's when those guys become great. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, like pick the best. I mean, even go back in the day to guys that I love, like Warren Moon was a great quarterback. Those guys could use the whole field. Troy Aikman, my UCLA hero. Okay, these guys could use the whole field. When you limit a quarterback to, it's almost like you're saying you're not smart enough to use the whole field, and I'm going to call plays that are so good that either this guy's open or this guy's open, or you need to run, which is why the athletic ability matters so much. But if you have a great quarterback, Joe Burrow did it at LSU. Think about the talent on that team. Do you want him running around like Caleb Williams, or do you want him throwing the ball to those elite receivers? That's what I want. That's how the plays are called. And then when they have the athletic ability to escape when they have to, now we're talking about, again, I'll go back to Mahomes because he's been the best recently. He's so good, but then when he has to ad-lib, he can do that too. That's what makes those guys unicorns. That's why they're so great. So anyway, I know I'm rambling again.
You were watching too much preseason football. Too much preseason NFL for you, Wayne.
I couldn't even sleep last night. It's just too much stuff going on. I think Arch Manning, I love that we should tap the brakes and not expect too much, but Texas is good, and Arch has been trained, and I think he's been brought along in a way where he's not like, we'll talk about Dante Moore in a second at Oregon. People are putting him on the Heisman list. Well, the last time we saw him play football at UCLA, he was throwing a lot of pick sixes, and he wasn't ready yet.
Right.
He was smart enough. This is not a knock on Dante Moore. He was smart enough to pick a place to go where he could watch a Dylan Gabriel. By the way, another mercenary. And I like Dylan Gabriel, but I don't know why people choose to vilify one over the other. I mean, the guy played for like 4 schools, okay, or 3 at least. But he went there and watched and learned. And now he's going to get an opportunity to run an offense with all kinds of talent, a lot like Texas. And we'll see what they're made of.
You know, it's interesting. You're talking a lot about college quarterbacks, Wayne. You're not talking a lot about the Big Ten quarterbacks, which are going to be very good. Everyone knows about Drew Aller. Aller, I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways.
I think most of the broadcasters say Aller.
Okay.
Drew Aller,
right?
I think they do.
That guy is a proven commodity at this point. I know that James Franklin and Penn State still get a lot of flack, but that dude is off of a CFP semi-run. Yeah. They're going to be very good. I mean, AP poll comes out on Monday. We're taping the show on a Sunday. I'm sure Wayne's going to be irate at whatever the AP gives us this week, but Penn State will be in the top 3 at worst. They'll be in the top 5 for most of the season. Like Penn State is a lot like. We said this about Oregon last year. It feels like Penn State is a lock to make the CFP. But along the Big Ten quarterback discussion, Luke Altmaier at Illinois, very good last year. Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, the Cal transfer. I don't know how many folks know about him because he played at Cal. Cal was bad. They played late last year. He's really good. Your boy Nico at UCLA, he's very good. The kid, what is it, DeMond Williams at Washington? Like, he's a sleek.
He's
like,
not big, but he can play.
Like,
he can
this
move,
dude's a gamer.
He can throw. Yep.
Like, there are some really good quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Guys that you know about and then guys that you don't. So that's going to be a fun league to watch.
Well, first, can I give you some kudos? Your Garrett Nussmeier was brilliant.
I mean, the guy threw for 4,000 yards last year. Like, I'm not going out on a limb, but
no.
Let's give that man his flowers.
Because everybody wants to talk about Lagway and Sellers because of what I was just talking about. And by the way, both those guys are going to be really good athletic players, but they still need to learn to play position right. I put them in the category. And by the way, Lagway has a chance. has a chance.
He's got to stay healthy, man.
But I put him in the category of Jalen Milroe, and by the way, I'm not trying to put dirt on Jalen Milroe because again, he's an athlete. He busts his butt every week. He plays hard. He's going to have a great opportunity in the NFL. But I actually think that if you look at what Kalen DeBoer wants, I think he's okay with, okay, good luck with your career, Jalen, but we're okay moving on because I think he would rather have a guy that throws like Michael Penix, which, by the way, I think most people would like to have a quarterback that throws like Michael Penix, probably the prettiest ball in the last several years of any quarterback. The
Listen,
guy freaking just can spin it.
that man may actually get me in front of a TV on Sunday afternoons, and that hasn't happened.
That's right.
That hasn't happened in a long time. Okay,
he could spin it, man. The amount of rotation that guy puts on the football, the amount of flick that guy has is incredible. But Nussmeier, like you said, has proven it. He knows how to play quarterback. I think he's in a great system. So I like that call. So back to the Big Ten. So here's my problem with Drew Aller.
You have a problem with Drew Aller. What do you not like about Drew Aller?
I do, and I've been on record saying this last year. I thought he was more of a game manager last year. I think he's a big, tall quarterback that people look at him scramble, and they start comparing him to Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. And I'm going to tell you guys this: if they all raced, Justin Herbert and Josh Allen would win by, if it was a 40, they'd win by 5 yards.
Yeah, that's not Aller's game. Yeah,
but people act like it is. So Drew Aller needs to be more like Tom Brady. If you're going to be a big, tall, did you see that stat? Doesn't his head look too small, the statue?
Brady?
Did you see Tom Brady's statue? His body's really
Something's
big.
going on with that man's face. I don't know if it's the weight loss drugs or what, but he looked fine before. Now he looks like a skeleton. Chill out with the drugs, Tom.
But Drew Aller last year had the best 1-2 punch running game. I mean, Ohio State had it too, but they were really, really good at running the ball, and most of the time, who'd he throw to? Who is their best player? Who's the best receiver on that team?
Oh, the tight end. What's his name? Tyler Warren. I'm glad that guy's in, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. NFL. No, it's okay. I'm looking at these images of Tom Brady's head after the weight loss drugs.
Well, no, not his head not his head in person. His head on the statue.
No, I'm just talking about I saw him on TV the other night, and I'm like, this guy doesn't look healthy.
Don't get jealous. So, but my point is this: is Drew Aller, and we all know that he came to quarterback late. So you look at his improvement, and you see a guy that could get better. But I had this thought the other day, and I'm just curious what you think. If Drew Aller has the ball at his own 10-yard line, he's got to go 90 yards in 2 minutes. Throwing the football, would you rather have Drew Aller or would you rather have McSorley?
Oh wow, we're going back to the Trace McSorley era. I would rather have Aller with those weapons and with that coaching staff.
Okay,
yeah, give me Aller.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I
don't
want
think
the dual
he's a
threat
McSorley guy.
Well, no, it's not even that. I just think McSorley was his head had more of a natural throwing motion. Drew Aller, it feels like when you watch them play, he's in the it's kind of like the J.J. McCarthy's going to be an elite pro quarterback, and he might be, but I mean, the hype is there, man.
Sure.
Well, he was in a system at Michigan where it wasn't like he was throwing it 45 times a game. I mean,
throw 15 times per game.
It was a lot of run, a lot of play action. Don't throw that much. Yeah, I like his arm talent. I think J.J. McCarthy has a very good chance of being good. So does Drew Aller. But to me, we go back to the Notre Dame game, right? Like his feet weren't right on the one coming back. Like when I watch him play, and I remember I'm talking to the great Tom Ramsey a million years ago. Tom Ramsey was a Rose Bowl quarterback for UCLA that is a broadcaster, and he's really good at what he does. But when he works with quarterbacks, he talks about he wants them to just basically pick up a rock and throw it, and he wants to see what their natural throwing motion is. Like just absolute natural throwing motion, and a lot of guys have this just natural ability that when you see it, you're like, that guy was born to throw a ball, right? Not everybody has it. Some guys are more mechanical, whatever. Drew Aller to me, and I'm going to ask you a second question. If you could put 50 other quarterbacks that play college football that are starters. 50 is probably too big. 20 other quarterbacks that play college football on Penn State's team last year to run that offense. I think it'd probably end up with the same record.
Yeah, I mean, turn around and hand the ball off.
They're gonna throw the ball a lot. They have a tight end that you can throw into triple coverage. He's going to catch it.
Sure.
Like it was to me. This guy almost needs to have like a, and he's not going to because Penn State's not going to do that this year. And your job at quarterback is to win football games, because we're going to talk about Nico in a second, and people would say that Nico, 19-5 touchdown interception ratio, run the ball a lot, win games, defense running the ball. Like, it's okay to, J.J. McCarthy did it, won a national championship. It's okay to do that. It's okay to do that, but my whole point is what I want to see for Drew Aller this year before I anoint him as the top pick in the draft and then have a franchise going, why is this guy just another big, tall guy that's not that good? I want to see his growth. I want to see his footwork get better. I want to see a big, tall quarterback get to the right guys when he's supposed to. I want to see him throw 5-6 passes in a row on a drive that sets up his great run game.
Yeah.
Not always the run game setting him up for play action where the guys are wide open. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking for more. And I think, by the way, from everything I've heard, Drew Aller's hard worker, solid guy. He's a good athlete. I just want to see him keep taking the next steps. That's all I'm saying. It's not a knock on him. But
Penn State, by the way, their schedule, soft. They host Oregon in September. They do come to UCLA. That'll be fun. There'll be about, 40,000 Penn State fans at the Rose Bowl for that. They're tough. They do go to Ohio State. All right, so they have to play at the Horseshoe. We'll see what Ohio State is this year. They're breaking in a new quarterback. I know they're really good everywhere else, but we'll see. Penn State's schedule, by Big Ten standards, I'm not saying it's Indiana from last year, but it's pretty soft. So we'll see about Penn State. So, I'm not here to poo-poo on Drew Aller. I'm going to mispronounce that all season. He is playing in the system that Andy Kotelnicki, the OC, and James Franklin have, and he does it very well. He's also got two of the best running backs in college football, like Singleton and Allen. Like, those guys are monsters.
Just to put, this is what's fun about college football. None of these guys should be finished products anyway. And I think Drew Aller is one of those quarterbacks that, I probably think his upside is there. But become, work your butt off to become, one of the best pocket passers there is. Be great at play action. Work on getting your feet around, because his feet on that interception late in the season were behind. It's one of the reasons why he didn't get through his progressions quick enough. The interception at the end of the game.
Yeah, cost him a spot in the national championship game.
It was the way he moves in the pocket sometimes. All of that stuff is stuff that I think he can get better at. And the reason why I pointed out his running ability maybe not being, Josh Allen, and people that are comparing those two, I think you're silly, because Josh Allen is much better runner. I think Drew Aller should be watching more Tom Brady. Should be more wide, this is how I need to slide and move in the pocket, because sometimes he gets himself out of position. He doesn't set up his blocks right. That's all I'm saying. Keep getting better. We'll move on to more Big Twin guys. And this is funny, because a few years back, we had 3 big-time 5-star recruits. Nico Iamaleava was one of them. Dante Moore was another one who came to UCLA and now is at Oregon. And Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola is another one of those quarterbacks that I watch. And if you remember Cam Ward last year, who, by the way, I think Cam Ward, I like everything about him. Sometimes I wish he wasn't sometimes the cool thing to do is to throw a swing route without moving your feet, because Patrick Mahomes doesn't. You just kind of flip it sidearm and everybody goes, ooh, that's so cool. But even Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, will throw some crappy balls doing that. I can show you a ton of throws, but the problem with Patrick Mahomes is the next play, he throws a great ball and makes up for it, because the great ones do that. But I look at Dylan Raiola and I watch him drift into his drop. I watch him throw off his back foot. I watch another quarterback. What was Nebraska last year? 6-6?
Yeah, I think they won 7 games with the bowl.
And they're putting them, I don't count the bowl games, because you don't even know who's playing in those. But you put these quarterbacks on a pedestal because we like how cool they look, and they fit into our narrative. Oh, he's like Patrick Mahomes, but he's another guy that I will admit he has great arm talent. But I wish a coach would get on him about being a little bit more fundamentally sound. You're never going to lose your natural ability to be able to throw the sidearm throw, but only throw it when you have to. Step into your throws and throw off your front foot because if you've watched, and I saw Dylan Raiola up close and personal against UCLA last year, he did not have a good game. He did not look good. So he's got a long way to go too, and sometimes I blame the fact that if you have these elite 5-star guys, and one of the things, I'm gonna bring up UCLA right now because I've seen it. Tino Sinceri, who was the quarterback coach for Curtis Rourke last year, who went from somebody nobody was talking about to a Heisman Trophy candidate at the end of the year, had a great college football season. Yeah, their schedule wasn't the hardest, but if you watched him play, you could tell he was coached the right way. He was using the entire field. I've watched 5 UCLA practices already, and Tino Sinceri is coaching Nico Iamaleava the right way. And by the way, younger brother Madden, dude's got serious arm talent. I think he actually has the most talented arm talent on the whole team. I really do. He throws a great ball. He transferred back from Arkansas to come back to UCLA to be with family. Coaching matters a ton. Because what you're going to have and by the way, Raiola and Dante Moore at Oregon are both, if you have a mold. Like, you know how we talked about Drew Aller being a little bit like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert because of their size, and I wish he'd be a little bit more like Peyton Manning, though, because I think he'd fit that better. They're both, Dante Moore and Raiola, are both more kind of like if they're gonna be elite, they're gonna be like Patrick Mahomes types. They're kind of built that way. They kind of move that way. Believe it or not, it's kind of funny. They both have the kind of shorter legs, like Patrick Mahomes has. They both have elite arm talent. They both can throw it from all angles and do all those things you talk about. But at the end of the day, you still have to read the defense. You have to make decisions quickly. You have to throw the ball accurately. So throwing off your back foot, throwing sidearm looks great, but they need to take the next step and become more accurate because it's one of the things that people don't talk about enough. Accuracy makes quarterbacks great. Throw to the right guy and be accurate, and you have a chance to be great. So we'll see. Raiola and Dante Moore are interesting to me because they're both, on a lot of publications, are rated higher than Nico. Who had, as a quarterback, when you care about wins and losses, which one of those 3 quarterbacks led their team to a playoff last year?
It would be the guy who transferred to UCLA, who has now left a system that is very quarterback wide receiver friendly and is going to a place at UCLA where it remains to be seen what they can do offensively. By the way, I'm just going to throw one more name out there. We're in the Big Ten. We're talking quarterbacks. Yep. Bryce Underwood, Michigan.
Yeah.
5-star guy, will be the guy as a true freshman. Yep. Michigan's offense last year was abysmal. And I look, I'm not here to I'm not saying Sharon Moore's on the hot seat. He's going into his second year as the head coach. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is when you put up 22 points per game on offense in college football in 2025, you're going to struggle to win games. And so Bryce Underwood is like the highest rated guy that Michigan's ever brought in as in the quarterback position, in the quarterback spot coming out of high school. He is the goods, okay? Flipped from LSU, like Brian Kelly thought he had him, ended up going to Michigan at the 11th hour. Can't wait to watch this kid. Like, I'm excited to watch Dante Moore. I'm excited to see Dylan Raiola, the guys you mentioned, 5-star guys who played. Raiola played the entire season as a true freshman. Let's see what Dante Moore looks like at Oregon with the flashy uniforms and the helmets. By the way, on Oregon, man, y'all got to win a big game. Like,
they beat Ohio State last year.
Okay. You'll say that, they did beat Ohio State last year.
They won the Big Ten Conference last year.
They beat Penn State in the Big Ten Championship.
Yeah.
What happened the last time we saw Oregon play? They got their doors blown off in the Rose Bowl. Okay,
yeah,
what was it? 35-0.
Yeah.
Was it 35-zip?
28-zip? It was over before the first quarter ended.
Look,
game was over.
Big game, Dan. I'm just saying, I like Dan Lanning. What's not to like?
I cannot believe you just said that.
Look, they went 12-0 last year.
They won the Big Ten and beat Ohio State and Penn State. You just said that.
I understand.
Right after you said they need to win a big game. Oh, my gosh.
Because you do. Like, at some point, you need to make the playoff and actually handle your business. That's all I'm saying, Oregon.
So you're that guy.
Yes.
You're that guy.
Yes.
That would say the Buffalo Bills sucked.
No.
Because they never won. And you're that guy that would say
that
Denver Broncos sucked
I'm not
when
talking
they
about
couldn't win a Super Bowl.
I'm not talking about pro football. I don't care about pro football.
Conference championships matter, dude.
I understand. But you got embarrassed at the Rose Bowl
by the team that won the national championship.
When you were the number 1 seed. You were the best team in college football, and you got your doors blown off.
Okay, part of the argument for the 12-team playoff, oh my gosh, you're killing me.
Good.
Part of the argument, first of all, they won no big
back.
games. Yeah, they beat Ohio State and Penn State, but they won no big games. Unbelievable. Okay, the idea that conference championships don't matter in your mind, and you've been doing this forever, you just care about the end of the season. Everybody sucks except for the team that wins. Wow. Like, being ranked in the top 15, who cares? If you're ranked 15, you suck. I grew up in an era, like, listen, when you were a top 25 team and you went to a bowl game, it was considered a good year. If you won a conference championship, like this is what's funny about the auto bids.
You want to be good or you want to be great, Wayne?
We're going to circle all the way back.
You want to settle? You want to play your best football in October or December, January? For me,
we're going to circle.
Let's go back. Let's win a game in January.
That's all I'm saying. The system of taking time off. Like, what was it, a month? Like, you take time off, you get the bye, and then you get probably the best team, well, it turns out to be the best team, left in your first game. What a reward for being a number 1 seed. Amazing.
I'm not here for excuses.
But they did not play well. They got hit in the face. And by the way, this comes back to this is scheduling. This is why I like the playoffs. I believe that Ohio State, didn't they finish 4th? Didn't they finish 4th in the Big Ten, or what? Didn't they? Where were they at? They were finished. They were not. They did not win. They didn't go to the conference championship game.
I'll tell you here in just a second. It was probably 4th because they lost to Ohio. They lost to Michigan and Oregon.
It was 4th. But yet, if you watched Ohio State play all year, and strength of schedule matters, like the game, if you go back to the Oregon Ohio State game.
Yes, they finished behind Penn State, Indiana, and Oregon.
Yeah. So if you go back, and remember, Indiana's schedule was really easy last year.
Soft.
Ohio State had to go to Oregon and play at Autzen Stadium, which all the Big Ten schools are going to realize is an extremely tough place to play.
I was there, by the way, in the offseason. I made a trip to Eugene.
That's awesome.
It was listen. That play, it was empty. I was there for the spring game.
You got to be there when they play shout at the end of the third quarter.
They don't let me out of the studio on Saturdays in the fall. You know why? But
my point is that loss by Ohio State didn't mean they weren't as good. Like, that's why when you watch that game, Ohio State had the ball at the end. They had a chance to win. A lot of things went wrong for Ohio State at the game, and Oregon won. Oregon won a big game. A big game. Yes, that was a big game.
Yes, I just need to see it in January, guys.
Yeah, well,
is that too much to ask?
We need to see it from everybody.
But go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
Ahead.
Well, I forget. I want to go. Well, I kind of forgot where we were going because we got sidetracked because you bothered me so much with that comment.
I'm excited for we're talking quarterbacks. I'm excited for quarterback play in the Big Ten.
You talked about Bryce Underwood.
The SEC's got great quarterbacks too, but the Big Ten quarterback picture is a lot of fun.
Is Coach Moore going to keep following Jim Harbaugh's path? Because if you really think about it, Michigan can recruit elite talent. They're going to get 5-star guys like at quarterback. Mm-hmm. But they also won with Cade McNamara and then J.J. McCarthy. And I'm not saying J.J., but neither one of those quarterbacks, kind of like Drew Aller, were throwing the ball like Jackson Dart did at Ole Miss. They were running the football. They were not turning the ball over.
And playing elite defense, not good elite defense. Like they allowed 10 points per game when they won a national championship.
If a school, like this is why if Coach Moore is still kind of following that, we're going to play Michigan football, we're going to run the football, we're going to play great defense. What it gives you the opportunity to do is it gives you an opportunity to bring a young quarterback along slowly. You don't have to give them too much. When they throw the ball, you play action, which is easier. You get your quarterback out on the edge. You manufacture some quarterback runs like they used to do with J.J. McCarthy. When you do that sort of stuff, and again, for all the people that are knocking, like you brought up Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee, and people will bring up that his statistics weren't as good in some of the big games, and, well, they beat Alabama. They beat, like you have to do stuff at quarterback, but who cares if you're protecting a freshman quarterback while they're learning to play the game? This game is really hard. So if Michigan can have that formula, I'm going to run the football, I'm going to play great defense, and I'm going to give my quarterback the opportunity to be successful, not put him in situations he doesn't need to be in. Michigan's already proved it in the past. You can win football games this way. Iowa, on a lesser extent, I bring them up because their offense has been so bad that they're actually showing highlights of their quarterback throwing an out route.
Oh, they're very excited in Iowa City. Yes.
People are losing their minds.
What's the kid's name? Gronowski?
Yes,
Mark
Gronowski.
Yeah. South Dakota
People are
State
losing their minds
transfer.
over one throw, which is funny to me. But, like, the idea is that if you really – and this is the same thing with Penn State. If you're going to – this is kind of Big Ten, like stereotypical Big Ten football, right? If you can run the football and run an offense where you're not going to turn the ball over, you're going to have an elite defense, which Penn State did last year, and you can kind of protect your quarterback. You don't have to throw the ball. And by the way, that's championship-type football. I mean, like, it's been proven. I mean, Ohio State's on another level because they usually can run the football, but they also have elite receivers and a quarterback that can throw the ball all over the field. So, like, Ohio State's, they've got the best combination of both. So I think
Michigan is going to be it's hard for me to do a show without saying the words like fascinating or interesting, but we haven't played any football yet, so I can't sit here and just crown people. I got Michigan starting 3-3 this year. I think it's going to be tough for them early. And I got a couple of guys that I play golf with who are huge Michigan fans, and they think I'm on drugs, and that's fine. Like, that's the fun part about this time of the year.
Who are their 3 losses? Who do you got?
Week 2, they got to go to Oklahoma.
And a lot of people are high on Oklahoma this year.
We will talk to Phil Steele next week about Oklahoma. He is very high. He's probably the highest on Oklahoma. Week 4 at Nebraska. Tough. And then week 6.
They're going to beat Nebraska.
They go to SC. SC's another one. Like, I mean, look, we don't have the time to get into it, but has the shine worn off on our boy Lincoln, the golden boy? He's got to put up or shut up, man. It's time.
Let's do this. The first 2, like the loss of really good college football coaches are really hard to find. Harbaugh is hard to replace. He's a really good college football coach. He did it at San Diego here in Southern California, and not San Diego State. He did it at San Diego. He did it at Stanford, which, by the way, Stanford's, they hung on for a while with David Shaw, but then they followed off.
Stanford is the worst Power 4 team in football this year.
Yeah,
they are
it's tough.
Terrible.
And then he went to Michigan, and it was a slow build, but he built him into a national champion. And I have a feeling he's going to be great with it. And he's been to a Super Bowl as a pro coach. Jim Harbaugh is hard to replace. So Moore's got a big task. Finding a good quarterback matters, but for Michigan to win, I still like that model of tough, hard-nosed, run the football, have the best O-line, kick butt on defense, so that's tough. So I think that's – and by the way, Nebraska, I mean, it's been forever since they've been relevant. People keep wanting to take these, these schools that were – and I'm going to be honest with you, Nebraska, Tennessee, you have to go back to the 90s. I mean, you do. Back when UCLA was relevant and played in Rose Bowls. And
there's a lot of schools like this, Wayne.
These schools need to figure out Miami. We talk about them every year, but what have they done? It's been a long time
I've got a list. I mean, Wisconsin.
Luke Fickell has got one of my – when he went to – he seemed like he was the perfect fit for Wisconsin.
Hadn't happened.
Man, hadn't happened.
The 5-7 last year, 12 wins in 2 years under Luke Fickell. Oklahoma, we talked about them, 6 wins last year. Auburn, 5-7 last year. So USC's on that list for me.
Hugh Freeze is a good coach. I like him. Hey, let's put it this way: Lincoln Riley, he had Caleb Williams for a couple years. His last year, I think they lost 5 games. Like, they've got to find a way. Like, what is USC? When Oklahoma was Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley, they had an unbelievable O-line.
Mm-hmm.
An absolutely unbelievable O-line. They had elite receivers, right? They had really good – and USC, it just feels like they haven't been – now, their defense did get better last year.
Got a lot better.
Danton Land got a lot better, but they still weren't elite. Just getting better
no,
from
but
being
by
horrible.
SC standards, when you shave 10
From
points per
being
game
horrible.
allowed off your defense, that's a win.
You go back and look at some of those defenses that way back with guys like Troy Polamalu or Ray Maualuga.
I was watching
or
Brian Cushing tape. Remember him? That guy was a
yeah, of course
psychopath.
I remember him. He had muscles coming out of his ears.
Psycho.
Like, those guys were so elite. People forget how great. Troy Polamalu is one of the best safeties I ever watched in college.
Facts.
That guy was absolutely elite. So they had so many good players on defense, and right now, I like Ramsey as a safety for them. I like some of their players, but I would argue Lincoln's making too much money to finish the way they've been finishing.
Well,
So,
he's hitched his wagon to Jaden Mayava. So how do we think that's going to go? The UNLV transfer.
So he's got talent. He can throw it. He can move in the pocket. He doesn't run like Caleb. He's got some talent. I mean, listen, SC's made mistakes. When they let Jackson Dart go, I was like, what are you doing?
This year it's Miller Moss. Like if you're going to be the quarterback whisperer, and you pick the wrong ones. Like, remember, that was the knock on Harbaugh. We were talking about Harbaugh just a minute ago. He kept picking the wrong guys. Like, hey, Shea Patterson. Like, no, that's not it. And then obviously you strike gold with J.J. McCarthy, and you win a national championship, and then you leave to go to the Chargers because you're worried about cheating.
But with Lincoln, I like what you're saying, because I've always thought that when Lincoln Riley was at his best, and again, I hate that I keep bringing up Baker, but I fell in love with the fact that in that offense, if you hit that plant foot and kind of like Kurt Warner, man, get that ball out. Get the ball out to your elite receivers. That is my favorite type of offense to watch, because it's just so fun. It's like fast break football. It's like the greatest show on turf with the Rams was so much fun to watch. I don't care if you're a Rams fan or not. Those St. Louis Rams teams with Marshall Faulk and all those great receivers and Kurt Warner were amazing to watch. When I watch some of Lincoln Riley's team, I don't care if it's Kyler Murray, I don't care if it's Baker Mayfield, I don't even care if you talk about our guy Jalen Hurts, who
That's your boy.
I think Jalen Hurts' time there turned him into a much better thrower that led to him being successful in the NFL, because we already knew he had athleticism and strength and all that stuff. But like, he needs to get back to that. I even think Caleb Williams running around and ad-libbing all the time was not good for that offense. And maybe that's because the O-line sucked. You know what I mean? Like, they've got to get back to being what he's really good at, having a quarterback that can distribute the football on time to the right guys. If they don't do that, I don't think he's going to last long. I really don't.
Listen,
USC fans are going to get tired of it.
I'm excited. Again, going back to what we said at the jump of the show, we have toe meets leather on week 0. Next weekend, not this weekend. This is the last weekend you guys have, or gals, to get it done. I'm looking at 5 games, week 0. Iowa State, Kansas State at noon, live from Dublin, Ireland. You ever been to Ireland, by the way, Wayne? You'd like it over there.
I went last year. I went this spring, first time ever. Stayed in a castle, played golf. We spent some time in Dublin, which was amazing. I loved it.
Right.
The people were awesome.
I remember this now.
And then we went to a place called something castle, Waterford Castle, something like that, on an island, which was really cool. We went for a wedding. It was a blast. Yeah, loved it.
There you go. I mean, that is the premier game on the slate. Idaho State UNLV at 4:00 Eastern. That's on something called the Mountain West Network.
I will be watching. But I will be watching that game because that's UCLA's second game. Because UNLV was great last year. Lost their coach.
Head coach of the Rebs looking. Do you know?
It's a broadcaster. Oh my God.
Dan Mullen.
Florida.
Dan Mullen.
I knew who it was. His name escaped me.
Fresno State,
Dan Mullen
Kansas.
probably It's Fresno State. Yeah.
Have you seen Kansas's new stadium? They painted wheat in the end zones. Have you seen this?
No,
it's making the rounds. It's gonna be awesome visually. They're waving the wheat in Lawrence. That's a 6:30 kick. Sam Houston State at Western Kentucky. 7 o'clock Eastern. Now we're starting to get down into the dregs here. Stanford, Hawaii is the 7:30 Eastern kick. No, that's not right. I think that's 10:30 Eastern. I have to double check. I might be giving out wrong times here. That's on CBS.
Don't listen. You already said what you said about Stanford.
I said they're the worst Power 4 team in football, and I stand by that.
Andrew Luck is a part of that program. I know they brought in Frank Wright, and they didn't even call him the head coach.
He's not playing. He's just the GM. Okay. Andrew Luck has no eligibility left.
Captain Luck is gonna find a way to bring back some of the best football teams I ever watched were Andrew Luck-led Stanford football teams. You can't tell me that school can't find NIL money to get that program back where it needs to be, and you can't tell me that Andrew Luck can't sit in a room with a bunch of billionaires and try to convince them to do that.
I mean, maybe he will,
but
it's going to take a little while.
It will.
Let me make sure. This is going to upset me. Okay, yeah. No, this is that 7:30 Eastern kick. So there is no super late game week 0. You got Sam Houston, Western Kentucky at 7. Stanford, Hawaii is at 7:30. Hawaii 2-point favorite against the mighty Stanford Cardinal out of the ACC. Just in case you're interested in that sort of thing. I'm just saying. So I want to set the table real quick, Wayne, before we go.
That the team that's going to surprise this year is going to be UCLA, right?
Well, that's a perfect tease because Phil Steele, who is a national guy, he is unbiased. He will be on the show next week. He will present his expert opinion on UCLA, but also going to run through some of these week 0 games with Phil because, for those degenerates out there who want to know what the play is on Sam Houston State, Western Kentucky on Saturday night, Phil's your guy. But super excited to have him back with us again. I will go to bat for this magazine. I've been buying it for the last 20 years. It is an absolute game changer. Phil Steele's College Football Preview. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. In this day and age, it's just nice to hold something in your hands, and just be able to flip through it. It's a tremendous companion for game days, and I know Wayne takes it with him everywhere he goes when he's crisscrossing the country, living that Big Ten life. And just following UCLA football all over the continental United States.
Hey, Phil is the best, and we're lucky. I mean, he's been a part of this show for years, several. I don't know how many it is, but it's been a long time.
Decades, just like you, Wayne.
Yeah,
I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore of college sports now. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of which, we're back in our normal routine. So you got Roddy Jones early in the week, Wayne and I in the middle of the week, and then our boy Michael Felder, who's got a new job, by the way. He's part of He's part of the 24/7 Sports machine. So he is, I guess, technically a CBS employee. He is covering the UNC beat, and you know what that means.
Nice.
Bill Belichick and them boys. So Felder will be back with us on Friday.
Their schedule is one of the weakest.
Yes.
So the odds for again, I don't want to. I know you're trying to get us done here, but UCLA was one of the toughest schedules in the country last year. I think we're still top 10. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how it was Pate. And he was talking about lies, like you are what your record is. And he's like, that's a lie. And it was a really good episode. But the idea is that there are 8-4 teams out there that are better than 10-2 teams. Schedule matters. If you play the gauntlet that is some of these schedules, I'm excited about UCLA's schedule because last year was so ridiculous. And it's still one of the top in the country. So your strength of schedule matters, and a lot of the predictions are based on strength of schedule. And I'll go all the way back to my playoff auto bids. If you happen to have an extremely tough schedule, which, by the way, is great for your fan base because you have more big games, you still have a chance to get in because if you finish in those top 3 or 4 spots in your conference, you automatically get in. Even if you had if you had Florida's schedule, which, by the way, Florida has they're kind of like UCLA. They kind of tend to have really difficult schedules. I believe they have a really difficult one this year too. If you can get through that, and end up in that 9-3 range, I would like to think that you'd have a much better chance at getting in.
Yes. However, just to the schedule point, and I know you know this, but when you have an 18-team conference or a 17-team conference, you're going to have schools like Indiana or SMU where the schedule just breaks for you. Like, hey, we don't have to worry about Clemson or Miami this year because we're SMU. Or if you're Indiana, it's like, yeah, we got the Ohio State game, but everything else is doable, manageable. Like that's just how this thing is going to break for a couple of years.
Have we ever had anybody that's involved in conference scheduling like explain like how they decide?
Well,
it'd be an awesome interview.
I know I know how it's done in the SEC in terms of like some of the discussions behind the scenes. This year they hit the easy button and we're like, hey, whoever you played last year, you're playing them again this year. We're just flopping locations.
Right.
And it just becomes a something that you just keep kicking down the road. But look, I would love to see every power conference play 9 games. I would. I would love for some standardization here. But that's what makes this game so fun, man. That's what makes the sport so enjoyable. Everybody does it differently.
If they switch to 5+11, it'll never pass, and we're going to stay at 12 teams because the 9 and 8. It's too much of a. I mean, the Big Ten's not going to play Mercer, in November, and have a basic bye.
No, but the Big Ten schedules MAC teams just like the SEC schedules
they have 9 conference
FCS
games.
teams.
So once they get into conference play,
sure,
they're all playing conference games in November. Listen,
you were at Big Ten Media Days. Why don't you call your boy Petiti and just say, hey, Tony,
down.
Hey, Tony, it's Wayne. Good, remember we hung out at the bar? Remember we were at the craps table in Vegas? Why don't you come on our show and talk Big Ten scheduling with me and this other bozo and see if he joins us. See if it works. Yeah.
We'll get it done.
Make that call.
Okay.
Wayne, it's great to see you. Great to be back with you. Hit him straight this week, okay? Play well. You only got one more weekend until these games, buddy.
I'll try to stay more focused. My golf season is over. No, I have Wednesday golf league.
We know that's not true. That's not true.
Okay, golf season ends when daylight savings happens.
So you got a couple more months. Okay. Yeah, exactly. We are back on Friday. Felder will be with us. You will hear from Wayne and I next Wednesday. We're back in our normal routine. So Wednesday shows with Wayne. We do it every week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Phil Steele will be stopping by next week as well. Wayne, great to see you. Great to talk with you. Enjoy your men's league golfing. And I just, again, man.
Watch it.
Check out the Gin app. Just take a look. It's $40, man.
I have it on my phone.
That's like 2 gallons of gas in California. Instead of topping off your tank, why don't you get the Gin app? That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Right.
Do us all a favor. Thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you soon.